welcome to death row.
Like we always do about this time.
I'm gonna fight your fucking ass!
You don't got, you're playing touch butt with that dork in the park.
There's a little snake in the grass.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
No forget Jesus, people.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back.
Who the fuck is that guy? Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
I would like to introduce...
Welcome to the MMA for Money Show, episode 43. In this show, we are going to review the amazing fight card that was UFC on ESPN 12, Poirier vs. Hooker. I am Bob Voss, your favorite garbage man at MMA State of Mind on Twitter, here with Mike Copenhaver. You can find him at Don't Cope, Just Win on Twitter. Also follow the show on Twitter at MMA for Money Show. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing absolutely amazing, man. After last weekend's UFC and all the wars that went on and that main event, it was just absolutely amazing. Going 2-0 for you guys and cashing one of the bigger underdogs on the card that no one had real faith in besides Bob and I. It was just an amazing and just was stoked to be here.
It is Wednesday, so you know what that means. The MMA for Money Show is here. You can find the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast Podcast, straight RSS feed, basically any single audio way you want to listen to the show. But if you want a little more, we are also on YouTube, both full-length shows as well as small tidbits, and to get your quick fix throughout the week. Subscribe and never miss a show. Like, comment, and share, please. That does wonders for us. It gets more people to see the show. If you like the show, they might like it too. Well, we're going to go right into UFC on ESPN 12, Poirier versus Hooker. A very interesting night, a lot of third round finishes, oddly enough, and an amazing main event. I'm going to throw right to Mike for the first fight of the card because I actually missed this fight and wasn't sure where to go on it, but Mike was heavy on who eventually became the winner. Jordan Griffin was a minus 105 pick'em, well, slight underdog versus Yosef Zalal, who was minus 115. Zalal got that decision win. Mike, break down that first fight of the night for me.
Yeah, man. I even spoke with Bob a little bit after the show, or it was later in our fight discussion during the week of who we would bet. I brought up Zalal as a pick. I really liked his one of his performances in either it was RFA or LFA. I can't remember exactly, but it was a 3-round war that a wrestling based dude. That's names I can't think of right now. They just fought a 3-round war, and Zalal really showed a lot of heart and grit going through all 3 rounds. Every time he was taken down, he got back up and into a better position. He showed off he has this high guillotine that he likes, and he just is impressive. But this fight was not an easy. Wasn't an easy fight. It was a scrap. Jordan Griffin gave a hell of a performance himself. They were going at it. It was just it was literally scramble after scramble and just jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts at its finest for a lower caliber type of fighter, not being the main event. But Zalal looked amazing, and Jordan Griffin. So Zalal definitely won the fight to me, but it just was a great fight.
Next up, the UFC had Jin Yu Frey, who was at plus 140 underdog versus the 20-year-old Kay Hansen, minus 160. Kay Hansen got that third round triangle armbar. Frey looked good early. I would probably give her the first round. Eventually, she got worn on by the younger Hansen. This was a 35-year-old versus a 20-year-old. Frey clearly more of an atom weight. Obviously, that's what she's the former champion of in Invicta. Got outsized late, and the outspoken Hansen pulls it off. If I recall correctly, even got a little shout out from Ronda Rousey after that fight, so I guess kudos to her. Mike, anything specific on the submission, or I guess thoughts for the 20-year-old doing so well this early on in her UFC run?
Yeah, I mean, the fight was actually a pretty good performance. It was more of a striker versus a grappler, and it was a little bit back and forth, but the armbar was smooth. Frey's pretty not scrawny, she's just thin, and once you get that armbar locked in deep on someone who knows what they're doing, they just flex their hips upward and wrench down up on that arm with the thumb up in the sky, and you're gonna die with that arm. So she It was a good fight for the two of them, and it was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be.
which is honestly the most you could hope for in some of these lower fight card female MMA fights, especially when they jump from Invicta to the UFC. I guess they're not jumping in front of a big crowd being there at the Apex. But next up, this is going to happen several times on both this fight card as well as fights going forward, where there's these last-minute replacements of guys where either a corner or they or someone they came in close contact with have tested positive for COVID, so they got pulled off the card. This next one, actually a couple times in this card, but next up, Takashi Sato was a minus 135 favorite versus Ramiz Brahima, who was plus 115, but there's a late replacement of Jason Witt, and although some late replacements did pretty well on this card, this was not one of those times. Sato landed some vicious power and finished off with ground and pound in the first round. I can't say I'm overly impressed by Sato here, only because with a last minute replacement and all that going on, I don't know. Exciting finish. There's a lot of exciting finishes on this fight. Well, some not so exciting, but at this point, an exciting finish on the card. Sato did look good, has some power. Mike, how do you feel about the finish? And I would say him going forward, but I guess we don't really have good judgment with the fact that this is a last minute replacement to fight him.
Yeah, I mean, he looked amazing versus whoever the guy was. I mean, Jason Witt, I never heard of him in my life. I don't know where he came from. He was just like literally the guy out of the stands pretty much. So Takashi Sato literally laid his ass out and and pounded him into hell and taught him about what the upper echelon of the UFC is like, and welcome to it because it ain't fun.
Next up, a huge favorite. Well, even a huge favorite for who he was originally slated to fight, and then an even bigger favorite over his late-minute replacement, Sean Woodson.
Jesus, Rosa, I'm sorry for all the disrespect that I said about you.
Oh, we threw some shade on Rosa. We weren't the only ones, okay? We weren't the only ones throwing shade there.
Hey, I'm at least got balls enough to say I'm going to say sorry, bro. I'm going to apologize. I thought you had no fucking chance ever. Literally, dude, but you fucking proved me wrong. You looked absolutely amazing. He came with hands that I've never seen and a determination that I've never seen, dude. And I mean, even his jiu-jitsu scrambles were good. I mean, it was it was a fight, but I mean, Julian Erosa, he ended up being the guy that went to the peak and stayed up there faster. And it was I'm still in fucking shock, dude.
Oh, dude, it is crazy. I just wanted a quick double check because we had said that Woodson was a decent sized favorite. He was minus 245 against his original opponent, Kyle Nelson. Once Erosa got slated in there, that closed at Woodson was a minus 500 favorite against Erosa. So Erosa was a plus 400 dog.
It's crazy.
And I'll give it to Woodson early. He was landing. His boxing was looking real good. He didn't want to throw kicks to get taken down. But as the fight got further and further along, you saw Erosa willing to take a few punches to get into that range and both put power on him, throw the leg kicks, and be able to grapple up quite a bit. And in the later goings, Woodson was starting to gas a little bit. Erosa just kept coming relentlessly. And then he got that third round Darce choke. Pretty amazing transition, in my opinion. Mike, any further take on the submission itself? I mean, this was not the only third round submission we got on this fight card, but I don't know. I think this one may have been my favorite. What do you think?
Oh, man. This was one of the most shocking for me. Because I wasn't expecting him to do what he fucking did, dude. I couldn't fully take in every single thing. I just was like, I'm just watching a huge parlay buster for a lot of people going down, and I just was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I'm not one of those fucking idiots who threw $500 down on that other dude, because that's crazy. That's the stupid shit we're talking about. And so Erosa's the OG in this fight. And when we talk about OGs versus newcomers, technically Erosa had more experience. I should have backed him in that sense. I fucking thought the other dude was the real deal. He had some great striking. Either Erosa just fucking literally upgraded his armor and his performance, just enhancing abilities incredibly. I'm in shock, dude. Unreal performance by you, Julian Erosa. I will shut my mouth for a while, and I need to see you fight someone a little bit better, but you deserve a more ranked opponent now. And mad respect to you for going in there and giving that dude that fight, because nobody had belief in that.
Well, and I know, at least for me, one of the main reasons that I didn't give Erosa much of a chance, obviously we didn't have odds on it or anything like that. We knew Woodson was going to be a big favorite. Erosa, I thought he had a suspect chin, and I assumed someone that was that well versed in striking and was going to be able to throw a constant jab up the pipe would eventually be able to wear down the damage enough and get a follow up and get a finish. And he was landing on Erosa well, and like you said, I don't know what the deal was. I mean, this was a very last minute fight, and so coming off the couch, I don't know if he just wasn't broken down as much from a training camp or what, but like he took power that. Obviously, I don't know tons about Woodson's power because it has been overly tested against like elite guys, but just sheer volume, I thought he'd have it. And man, Erosa was just taking it, moving forward. I mean, he could kind of got wobbly a few times, but just powered through. It was impressive, man.
It was, man. I'd never seen him have a chin like that and be willing to take those shots. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if he's seen a sports psychologist or whatever changed that made him more aggressive and not care about taking a few to get in there. But I believe he hit him with a bunch of body shots too that was wearing down his gas tank, and there was a great, obviously great great game plan by his corner. And if there wasn't so many good performances on this card, we'd be talking about it even more. But I don't even know. Did he even get a fight? Did he get a bonus?
I don't believe so, but I'll check.
I don't think he did either, and so which is kind of crazy in the sense of it was an incredible fucking performance of Julian Erosa.
Next up, Tanner Boser was a -105 versus Felipe Lins -115, and we have minor notes for these shows. We do just little brief stuff like who won, how'd they win, stuff like that, and then we go off on our tangents. This is one of the first times, and Mike could attest to this because I always send him over the notes. I am in all bold, Boser by first round KO, TKO punches. The guy that I never thought would have the power to be able to put some out. The guy that consistently at heavyweight goes to decision over and over again. Gets a first round finish over Jeremy Lins, who took power from Arlovsky for an entire fight and others and just laid the dude out. And not only laid him out, he rocked him hard. And as soon as he started to stumble to the side, landed again, then again, did a back fist to the ground on the guy once he fell. Like I think it was Cruz who counted it out. He had 8 unanswered shots after he landed the one that initially rocked him. Like, it was crazy. And obviously he has mullet for days, and I guess that's all I gotta say about it. Like, I'm just still kind of utterly shocked that not only did he get a finish, but I was thinking maybe like a third round finish, kind of maybe tires out Lins a little bit and has a chance and like just tires him out and like volume and all that crazy jazz. The fact that he put him out, I almost can't handle myself. Mike, how do you feel about this? Well, I wish it was the lone heavyweight fight when we get to the other one, but the first heavyweight fight of the night.
Oh man, well I was talking before this fight happened to one of my best friends, and I always he says, oh, who do you think's gonna win this fight? And I said, dude, these are bigger boys, dude, and these I don't bet on these type of fights often, because guys that are so big, they hit you one time and the damage is so incredible that they can knock you out or down or daze you, and then it's a combo after that and you're done shortly. Every other weight class, they have like they can take a little bit more punishment than these guys, and so Boser, holy shit, dude. I mean, like you said, a guy that goes a decision machine, and when he does win, I did not expect him to be slamming TKO KO in the first round, especially versus Lins, who's really well trained. But congrats to him, and your mullet looked killer, dude.
And quickly going over those bonus awards, fight of the night was Poirier versus Hooker, obviously. Performance of the night was Kay Hansen and Julian Erosa. So Julian Erosa got himself a $50K bonus, so that's a nice little thing to be able to sprinkle on the
well, he deserved
14 and 14 that he got earlier in the night. So dude, just like,
he deserves it.
Oh man, he quadrupled his pay. So good on him.
That's like, dude, my brother, he was 8,000 to show, 8,000 to win. Then he was fight of the night, and then he was knockout of the night, and so he went from 16,000 to it was I believe it was $66,000 on the paycheck. Obviously, it still doesn't mean like for the punishment he took with J Rock. If you guys go back and watch that fight, War Machine versus J Rock, on Tough Finale season 6.
Or even better yet, go back to our show where we talk about it and watch it at the same time, and you'll get Mike's background over the whole scenario.
Yeah, because there was a great scenario with me and J-Rock's brother-in-law, and we almost got into ourselves in the stands while the fight was going on. But either way, not even being biased on that, that was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life, in person, on TV, period. And so, yeah.
Speaking of bonuses, I mean, I know any newer fans might not know this, but I know we're consistently at 50K for of the night bonuses, and yes, technically you can win 100,000 if you get like a knockout and fight of the night combination there. Well, I guess it's performance, not just knockout or submission, either way. They used to have kind of a sliding scale for fights of the night. It kind of just depends how well the ticket sold, how they felt on that night, and how much they wanted to boost it. Like on a fight night, you might only have 30K. On a pay-per-view, it might be 40, 50, 60. I'm not 100% on the number, but I'm pretty sure for the UFC 129 one, it was Shields versus GSP. I want to say it was 100K on those nights, on that night, because of like people goading Dana in the pre-fight meeting. But like they were a little bit everywhere, and they just decided to two things. One, make them always 50K, and then two, they got rid of the knockout of the night, submission of the night, and just switched to performance of the night. So, because even though they said, well, sometimes there's not submission or whatever of the night, it's like, that's fantastic. But
there wasn't even performance bonuses at some points. Like it was just like
that was all just the locker room stuff.
It was literally like the mob. They were like, oh, Dana and the boys came in there and were like, we like that knockout. Here's 25 grand. There you go. So my brothers, like I said, it was a weird number. It was 25 grand and 25 grand. It was a knockout of the night, fight of the night. And so it was, and that was the same night Clay Guida and Roger Horta fight. So to take it over that is crazy.
Well, and it's crazy too, like for the mind of a fighter, like let's say like your brother. So he gets all that stuff. And then there was still the possibility of maybe not like in the locker room type stuff, but so many fighters from back in the day talk about that. Like they might get a check in the mail like weeks later, and it was just like appreciation check. I mean, nothing crazy, like a couple grand here, 5, 10, whatever like that. But like those little things started to add on. It's like another one of the reasons that fighters go for broke and don't argue too much with what they're paid, because if they're entertaining fighters, they can get an of the night, or they can possibly get like a 5, 10, or I think the highest I've ever heard of after the fact was someone getting like a 15 or 20K check weeks after the fact, when like the pay-per-view did better than expected or something like that.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's just weird how it works and how it all plays out. But you know how that it's business.
Absolutely. Next up was the canceled fight. The Mara Romero Barella versus Miranda Maverick fight got canceled. That's going to happen more frequently too. But then after that, we had Luis Pena, who was a minus 270 favorite. But I want a quick double check on what the closing odds were. Actually, it went down a little bit, so never mind. If I could have sworn I remember getting worse and worse, and for a little bit it did. But he was a huge favorite over Kama Worthy, who was plus 230 when we recorded the show, but at the time of the bet, because we gave out this is a bet, he was plus 225, and Worthy looked phenomenal early. I think he clearly won the first round. He was winning the stand-up exchanges. He was ready to dodge and counter or throw same-time counters as Pena, and was kind of letting him up on the feet. And it wasn't until portions of the second round where Pena actually decided to wrestle a little bit that he got a near submission. Pena, that is, even though towards the end Worthy was able to reverse it, and then really came alive in the third round, again winning the striking and starting to do better in the scrambles, and eventually got Pena in a ridiculously tight guillotine choke, that third round finish again. But this was our first bet on the fight card, and it won you guys 2.25 units if you followed us and how we bet that.
Yeah, baby.
Like Mike said, one of the biggest underdogs that actually cashed on the card, other than Arosa. But I mean, we didn't even have odds when we did the show last week and Arosa was on. Not saying we would have picked him, but I don't know. I guess if it was big enough odds, maybe we would have put a little bit on it personally, not necessarily for the show. But so, I mean, Worthy looked great. People were downplaying him a lot just because he had a quick, fast upset over Worthy. We talked about how much we liked Worthy. He had the power that was the difference, and that Pena, I don't want to say he's, I want to say, I'm trying to say it this because I don't think he's like arrogant or anything like that. I think he's he's overly confident, and not in a good way. Like, he's to the level that he thinks he's past skill levels that he is. And like, he thinks like, as soon as we start rolling, I'm going to get you in a submission. I'm obviously going to get you. Or this crazy strike combination or this crazy move is going to land and I'm obviously going to get a knockout. Like, he thinks a little bit too highly of himself without laying the groundwork to actually get there. Whereas Worthy was all hard to the grindstone, pushing forward, coming to get this win. Mike, we were beyond ecstatic. I know you texted me right after this happened. I had to go back and watch the fight because I wasn't watching them live. And this was huge. Well, huge for us and just huge in general. Mike, thoughts on this amazing fight?
Oh man, I mean, both athletes, were amazing, but the one we bet is the one we wanted to be the most, and that's what happened. Kama Worthy, he came in there and he had better head movement, he had more volume, he threw better combos. Pena, like you said, he seems to be used to being the bigger fish in the gym or on the mat or something like that when he trains, and it comes off like that in the ring, and it makes it like he doesn't get to perform at his best because he's not fully taking the other person seriously or something. But it didn't matter because I want him not to take him serious. Don't take Kama Worthy serious, because you saw exactly what happened when you didn't take Kama Worthy serious. He had a better gas tank than you. He was meaner than you, and he came in there and that guillotine choke was so deep, and that's one of his favorite moves. He's used it a few times, and locked in that 2.25 units for you guys, and just to start the night. And it was just the best feeling in the world for us to be able to keep rolling on this train and get you guys a win. Whoever rolled with us, let's go.
Well, and I heard a lot of people questioning Worthy's gas tank. Like, they thought it was going to be a first rounder bust. And although we leaned toward that being his way to win, like power in the first round, his gas tank looked pretty phenomenal throughout, even though he was on the losing end of those grappling positions in the second round. Even in the third round, he looked completely fresh. It was very impressive. I didn't realize his gas tank went that deep, which is good to know going forward. Yeah,
it was definitely very good, because to get it, jiu-jitsu is exhausting. I mean, 5 minutes, dude, not even 5 minutes. 3 minutes with someone, if you've never done it, is you don't know anything, But
I would tap in 30 seconds. I'm very aware of that.
No, it's just unreal when someone makes you look like a little bitch just in seconds, and it's it's just crazy. I can't explain it, but either way, Pena he's got talent. I think he's young. He needs some better coaching or management. But dude, Kama Worthy, thank you so much for cashing that bet for us, and it's just amazing.
And if anyone currently is a little annoyed that some of these fights we're talking about are a little bit out of order of how they placed, I'm going by the order that we went over them last week, which was the correct order, but with cancellations and fight switches, they kind of jumbled up the order a little bit. So this is not me doing it to personally offend you if that's something that's a nervous tick of yours where you're like, that's not how the fights went down. That's not how the fights went down. This is how we had them listed from last week, and it just makes it easier for transcribing notes. But we will get to every fight. It's just not necessarily in the order you might want to hear them. So
what's funny, someone will complain about that, but they won't complain. Go tell Google to change UFC Austin. They didn't change UFC Austin or their shit. They're like multi-billion-dollar, million-dollar company. Who knows how much money you so please just bear with us on the order.
Oh no, I just know that like if I listen to a podcast, I would just be a little taken back.
I would be too.
I wouldn't say anything, but I'd be a little confused. I'm just letting you know if anything that happens in the future, it's because with these canceled, we record early in the week because we want you guys to have this information as early as possible and to make your bets to get the good numbers that we get. We don't always get the best numbers, but I think we consistently get pretty good numbers, especially with dog money and guys that are close to even who eventually become bigger favorites. But because we do it so early in the week, these cancellations and these fight changes, it's like they jumble up this order pretty tremendously. But if you go back to the original fight order, that's where we were at. But, we have 2 fight changes on this fight card and 1 straight up fight cancellation. So I'm just saying that because I know these next couple are a little out there.
You blame it on the road.
Next up is a very unique heavyweight fight. Maurice Green was a minus 235 favorite at the time of our recording versus John Vellante, or Giant Vellante as he evolved into for this fight card.
Badass,
plus 195. Green got a third round. I know we're not in video yet, but I am doing parentheses with my fingers. Submission. Green looked phenomenal in the first round. He was really putting on John Vellante in a major way. He actually looked really good here. He looked improved. Vellante looked like he barely trained for this fight. I know that Green had a much superior reach, but a lot of these guys at heavyweight are going to against Vellante. When I heard Vellante was going to go up to heavyweight, I thought we're going to get Strikeforce Vellante. He coming in at like 240, maybe not abs, but flat stomach. Can still see all of the muscles he's got going on. The only time you saw anything is after he was laying down on his back, exhausted, breathing heavily. I saw 2 top abs. I saw them. I'm going to give him credit. I know, I saw them. They're still there in theory. And my favorite meme that's gone around is, pre-quarantine, post-quarantine of Vellante last time he fought a 205 on the weigh-ins, and this time it's bad. I even remember in the commentary, my favorite moment, and because I said something even verbally out loud by myself after it happened, was they were talking about Vellante being 255, and I believe it was Bisping talked about, and a lot of that weight, because they were talking about his kicks, are in his thighs. I'm like, or his gut, which was like hanging out like crazy.
Bisping's funny.
That's why I thought we were going to, because I do think that Vellante is a big enough size guy that he can do heavyweight, but he's got to be 240 in shape heavyweight, not 255 like in one more fight pushing the heavyweight limit type fight. But I guess I'm breaking that down too much.
It was still a close fight.
It was still a close fight because it was more even in the second round. And then honestly, Vellante was likely down 2, but it all depended on how that middle round went. And he got a dominant position on top against Maurice Green, was landing down some power. And I don't know if it clicked in his head that he wasn't going to have enough power to put him away. But then he basically he didn't give up a submission because I know that I'm a little bit more of a novice on the grappling side, but that was not tight enough of any semblance to make someone tap, in my opinion, other than the fact that Vellante was just that utterly exhausted and laying on top of him. And then as soon as he tapped out, he laid on his back. And like I said, breathed heavily, and you saw his 2 top abs. They were there. And then just breathed, and Green started dancing all excited. I mean, Green looked good. I'm saying it looked good, but Mike, please break down that submission for me, because I know I'm not the most well-versed, but it looked like he was just gently hugging his neck and maybe whispering nice things into his ear before the tap happened. Literally there was a punch which turned into a tap.
Yeah. First off, shout out to MMA Gangster for his, he actually picked round 2, round 3 submission. I believe it was. It was a submission. Submission. It was submission round 3, I believe, is what.
I think it was just round 3. I think it was just the round.
It was round 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was just round 3. He bet round 2 and round 3. So he threw I think it was a unit on both.
I think it was a half unit, but it was plus 600. For
okay,
round
that's what
3,
it was. Okay,
something like that.
All right. So we not only hit our bets, but he hit one of his bets, his first bet back in a while. So go shout out to MMA Gangster on Twitter.
We missed him, man. He hits.
He's amazing.
His prop hits are ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
You don't
it's
realize
how
much you miss them until they're gone.
Bro, he's been gone for a while, and he hits right away, man. It was incredible. And one that I thought it was done, dude. No disrespect to my boy, but
once Vellante got on top, I was like, man, we lost it.
Oh, totally. And so shout out to you, MMA Gangster. I appreciate you. Go to the MMAforMoney.com. He has an article that he writes for free, gives you a pick for free. He's one of the best freaking professional gamblers there is.
Oh no, dude, he is amazing. We've gone over on this show before that I don't typically bet props, meaning me come up with the prop and bet it, because it's not a forte of mine. I have given out prop bets that have cashed in the past.
It's very rare when Bob.
It's very rare I give them out because I'm not confident in them. Because
what's crazy is though he's not confident in them and then they hit.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing I like about him is his thought process makes sense, and he goes with the most likely, let's say, 2 outcomes on a fight where that's the most likely outcome. Just you need to know specifics on there, and doesn't bet him huge. And all you need since there's such huge odds, you just need to hit 1 out of 3 or 4 a night, or 1 or 2 out of every 2 events, and you still end up big. Like, he's hit some huge numbers in the past.
He's really ridiculous. Good at he's really good at managing a bankroll and not flicking too much money on certain things. So, like I said, shout out to MMA Gangster. Go follow him, and he's free, dude. He's great advice.
We got plenty of free content on there. Next up, in the co-main event, obviously it wasn't the original co-main event. There was another cancellation, although that was quite a while ago. That was going to be Aspen Ladd versus Sarah McMahon. But here we had Mickey Gall, was a plus 255 underdog, against the girlfriend corner man himself, Mike Perry, who was minus 310. I think it was minus 300 at actual fight time. Perry wins the decision, 29-28 across the board. Clear win for him. He just had too much power, too much control. Even on the ground for Mickey, had his back at the end of the first, I believe. Full mount at the end of the third. He's the better athlete. He has pretty much the only thing where it's close, and I mean like close. Everything else is by far in Perry's in his category. The only thing that's close is straight jiu-jitsu, not wrestling, straight jiu-jitsu. And if you have everything else in the category and you're not like a grappling savant, you're gonna get beat. And he got beat. And I'm happy to hear that Perry's gonna be looking for like an actual camp to go to in Florida. But I mean, I guess kudos to him. He saved a buttload of money not having any corners and anything like that. And according from his post-fight thing, that's a good thing to save some money because he owes the government a pretty penny. Mike, thoughts on this fight? It's pretty straightforward, but do you have like a certain take going forward on either guy?
I mean, this was another drop him in an alley theory. I said that, Mike Perry would pretty much end Gall all day, any day. It's clear, so Mike Perry looked phenomenal. I mean, he reminds me like of my brother. He's like War Machine, but just different, and they want you to be a little bit
slower on the uptake.
Yeah. They want you to be like that because you could see in his pay, he got paid more than some other upper echelon fighters, and so it's crazy. I believe he got paid more than Hooker this event straight. But I could be wrong on that one. But the
only because he won. But it's close.
Oh, okay.
Perry makes 90 and 90. Hooker makes 110 and 110. But Hooker didn't win. But
to be the main event
of notable names, Mike Perry makes more per fight than Morris Green, more than John Vellante, more than
Vellante's had tons of fights.
Yeah, but
either way, he deserves
75.
it. He's earned it for himself. You could talk shit about him. You could say whatever you want about Mike Perry, but Mike Perry, he comes to fight. He tells you exactly how he feels. I appreciate the honesty. I love people that are blunt. I love that he tells you he wants to F you up. He was going to do it. And he's going to back it. The only problem with that is we live in a society that's civilized. And like my brother found out real fast, it's just not like you can't be that alpha male. You can't be that savage that you want to be. I understand. I sometimes want to be that guy too. I was raised very, very savage. I can't be. I have a family to raise. I have my own family that's looking down on me that I have to have respect for and honor for. So I understand why he does his being extra, because you got to be extra whether you love you or hate you. He's getting viewers. The UFC wants viewers. He needs that for his own resume and to get more money. So he's doing a great job at doing what he needs to do to get himself more money. The hate only comes from just people who are don't like what he's saying, and sometimes he does say some stuff that you shouldn't. But I mean, I say some stuff that I shouldn't. So, and I think we all can just give him a little break because he's an entertainer too.
Well, and he is in general good on the mic. All he needs is for his personal Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. He just needs that level-headed person. It could be his girlfriend. I don't know. I don't know much about her other than the fact that she's in the corner not wearing her mask properly. But that's a whole nother thing. To run it by her. Be like, how's that sound? Because then that person will be like, that one's good, send it. That one might get you in trouble. We'll just dial back on that one. We'll save that one. We'll go over that one later. And all he needs is like about 30% of what he says or he's going to say get stopped from getting out there, and he'd be a way more popular fighter. I'm not saying he's not popular, but I mean like star level of like just enough of the good without all of the times where he puts his foot in his mouth or like puts on a headdress and dances around like he's an Indian and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, Native American. Don't come after me.
It's all good. At least you corrected it.
The numerous amount of other stuff he has, whether it be getting a DNA test and he's 2% African and all of a sudden,
oh gosh,
ad libitum, say whatever you want, and the millions of other things that somehow he gets away with that, like, if almost any other person in the UFC would say, they'd probably be booted.
That's why I don't understand.
Stuff could just
like,
get taken away.
Like my brother, like he if he did that stuff, they'd be gone. It's crazy.
Oh no! Like I try to think of like fighters that, like even if like a guy that's normally known as a good guy, like okay, so we're gonna talk about Dustin Poirier next, who's one of the most stand-up guys in the UFC, runs a charity, beyond a nice guy, married, beautiful kids, like it, all those things. If he said half the stuff that Mike Perry does, the UFC would probably boot him too. It's like I don't know what he isn't. He is in his own realm by himself, and I don't know if it's like if you get the appropriate amount of face and neck tattoos, they're okay with it. Like there's a special formula. Apparently, you look it up on YouTube, and as long as you have like certain things tattooed on your face, neck, like it's an arrangement of tattoos.
It's a certain
hieroglyphic.
hieroglyphic
With the Conor McGregor. Like you get these certain amount of tattoos kind of infused, and they just protect you. But they ward off the firing.
Armor.
Sorry, that was a little bit long-winded, but I'm just utterly shocked at some things that he has said. That like in the past, certain fighters have like when I don't know if anyone remembers this, but it was about 8 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, when the UFC was paying fighters bonuses on tweets if they got enough views from people, retweets, all that kind of stuff. Every month they would get out a small bonus for like the tweet that was biggest. I don't know if it was every month, but like there was a periodic time they did that. As soon as they did that, 2 or 3 fighters put their foot in their mouth. Some of them got just straight up fired then, and other of them got reprimanded and had to go to special sensitivity training. So,
dude, remember Jesse Taylor smashed a little bit of some things drunk after winning the Ultimate Fighter or whatever he did, or getting to the finale, and they friggin' just said, "Oh no, we're taking you ruined and you're done."
Oh no, they used to not deal with that stuff at all. Like I remember, like the 2 fighters that I know for sure got in trouble during those bonuses was Miguel Torres said a quote from an Always Sunny show in reference to kind of a van and got booted, and then Forrest Griffin said something apparently that was taken wrong, and he had to go to sensitivity training back when Forrest Griffin was still fighting. So it just shows you the level of this, and that somehow Mike Perry is still just sailing right on through. It's
crazy because, you know, where I work, I have to I can't be Michael Copenhaver, you know, like I have to be a professional person. And so I can't be the guy I want to be savage wise. So I gotta you tone it down to be professional, get through your job. He doesn't do it, and it's crazy. He just it's working for him. But congrats to you, bro, because you're making money. Speaking
of which, good combination to join this video. We're about to talk about what's a good way to put that? Well, we'll say a classy savage. We'll say a gentleman savage. All these things I would say would apply to Dustin Poirier, and he fought in this main event. He was a minus 220 favorite at the time of the show, but he was another bet we had on this fight card. We had him at minus 210. This was to win 1 unit. It was him versus Dan Hooker, who was plus 180. Poirier wins by unanimous decision. It was 48 to 47 on 2 scorecards and 48 to 46 on a third. So he actually got a 10-8 in there, and it was a rough going early on. Dan Hooker really came alive in that first round till Poirier found his range and started to, like literally landing to the head quite a bit more.
I couldn't believe the shots that were going on, dude.
Oh man, for anybody that has ever questioned Poirier's chin, I mean, honestly, the only 2 times I think you can question his chin was, I think 45, that cut hurt him like a lot. It really did. And then the Michael Johnson one at 55, right after he went up, before he bulked up a little bit. And man, Johnson at 55, like, he was a big what if, like what could have been of a guy that had some serious power, had some long limbs, had great wrestling, had some sub issues, but either way, like had a good thing going. But man, Poirier took some serious shots, and all he did was, like, after each one, he would recompose himself and push forward. And he always kept pushing forward. And because he kept pushing forward, Hooker kept backing down. It's the same thing that Barboza did to Hooker. The only thing I think that we called wrong on this fight, I think there was only one thing we called wrong. We thought that Poirier was going to hit the body a lot more like Barboza did. He did everything that Barboza did except that. He pushed forward. He made Hooker pay for every shot. He put on the power. He was willing to take one to give one because he knew he was hitting harder, similar to when he fought Holloway, because that's another fight we compared it to. As long as he hits harder over the long run, he's going to slow Hooker down. And he did. You can see the breakdown of the striking scores that they gave for it, where it was close but clear to Hooker in the first and the second in terms of strikes. In the fourth and the fifth, in the third and the fourth, you saw Poirier come alive with strikes, all carrying the same amount of power. And then you just saw Hooker just slow down more and more and more. And then especially the end of the fight was just so dominant for Poirier that, like, really stamped it out. But man, that was such a good fight. And yes, won you guys another unit. We were +3. We went 2-0 plus 3.25 units on the night. Free bets for you. Mike, talk about this fight of the year candidate type main event that we had this past Saturday night.
Dude, holy shit, man. This fight was absolutely incredible. I was shitting bricks the first round or two because Dan Hooker really looked so much. I mean, he's always looked pretty good, but his chin, man, I definitely never thought he had a chin like he showed this last weekend. I would have probably... If you would have told me he ate as many shots as he did from Dustin the Diamond Poirier and still stood... if you would have said he was going to get hit 5 times from Dustin, I would have said he's done, knocked out. And he ate so many, and he gave so many punishing blows out himself. He had Dustin Diamond Poirier badly rocked by a knee that came up like 6 feet high. I mean, the height that he can reach his knee is absolutely incredible. Dustin talked about it in his post-fight interview. That's the only time he was in danger. It was like the knees that came so high rocked him and wobbled him. But this fight was one of the best fights that I've ever seen, that I've ever bet on. Like I said, to be honest, it was shitting bricks a little bit on the first and second because I've never seen such a determined Dan Hooker. But that goes to show you how well his squad and his camp is, and how well they're trained and how well they're advancing over there. And it was just incredible to watch Dan Hooker perform that night too. So I hope that he's super proud of himself for giving us fans that fight. There's nothing to be ashamed to not have the gas in the championship rounds. Thank God it was 5 rounds, and we had Dustin Diamond Poirier for 5 rounds, because if it was 3 rounds, I lost you 2.1 units, and we have a whole different story. And so Dustin Diamond Poirier is a stellar athlete. He's a wonderful gentleman, and I hope that charity auction goes for his fight shorts. I hope it reaches a fantastic number for the charity that he chooses to donate to. I mean, he's a wonderful father too, and that's the first thing he said he wanted to do was go see his little girl. And Bob and I have kids too, and that shit, it just gives me chills right away. So Dustin Diamond Poirier, thank you so much for being the mixed martial artist you are. Thank you for the 1 extra unit. That was 3.25 units on our 2-0 night. You add MMA Gangster with the plus 600, and we only take half of that, so it's plus 300 on that, and that's 6.25 units for a free show. So let's go.
Yes, it was a fantastic main event. Really, and the only thing I really worry about, sorry about that, Hooker going forward, is he has now had over his last, I don't have the exact up in front of me, but over the last, it's like 5 fights, he's had 3 hellacious wars. Like if you're going back to the Barboza fight, so the Barboza fight, the Felder fight, and this one, for someone who's so young and who shows so much promise, he's getting hurt, man. And
battered.
I just worry about it because like this is a lot of fights in a row to have that happen. Obviously, I know they weren't 1, 2, 3, but that's a lot of damage taken in 18 months.
The CTE is tremendous, dude.
And you can see it start to wear on him at the tail end. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think he has gas for 5. I think he had better gas against Felder, but I don't think he took this amount of damage versus Felder or had to throw this much to try to keep Poirier off of him. So obviously that adds up. But I don't know. I just tend to worry, and I believe I said it after the Barbosa fight of you worry about those kind of fights just taking it out of a fighter and them not being the same. He's kind of shown that he's resilient, but I don't know. The more of these that happen, the more you start to worry. As much as Poirier, and he got hit a lot in this fight. I'm not saying Poirier didn't. This one was rough for Poirier too. But in all of the other fights where that goes on in Poirier fights, he takes shots, but he by absolute measure gives out more and always gives himself time to recover and goes for the kill when he can. So like he takes shots, but I don't know. I don't know if it was the visual of the excess of cuts and blood and everything like that. I just think Hooker looked a lot worse at the end. And yes, obviously I know cuts and that do a big thing for that, but I just worry about him going forward. But I don't know. I guess before I pity him too much, do you have an idea of where you would like to see Dustin Poirier after this? Obviously, they're planning on doing Gaethje versus Khabib in the fall. But who would you like to see Poirier fight, assuming that he has to fight one more before he gets that title shot?
If he's smart like he is, he'd take a money fight and possibly. I mean, what sucks is I want to say Conor McGregor, but he said he retired. I don't know if that's real. You know, if that's real, then that sucks.
Well, it was odd. This was one of the first times there's been a big fight in either lightweight or welterweight where immediately after it ended or while it was going on, Conor McGregor didn't tweet anything. He's been radio silent.
So there isn't like, I don't want to see Dustin fight Khabib again. So that doesn't work. And then,
but if Gaethje wins, he's prime right there because he has that win over Gaethje.
Yeah, and that would be cool for him then to come up and take his belt and shine like we want him to shine. So I would say I'd sit back and wait for and pray to God that Gaethje can beat Khabib, and I think that Khabib's gonna have a little bit more trouble with Gaethje than he thinks.
No, I know we both agree on that. I'm looking forward to odds closer when that fight comes out. Mike, anything else to sign off the night with before we do our outro and maybe a little teaser?
Yeah, I just appreciate all you listeners out there who follow, retweet, subscribe to us. We appreciate it so much. We appreciate your comments on YouTube videos and the short clips we give you. We've been working our tails off trying to get you guys get us and ourselves to the upper echelon of podcasting and even live periscoping, live streaming, live everything. So we're working on that, and that's coming soon. So just keep rolling with the MMA for Money team. Go to MMAforMoney.com. Get yourself a NASCAR package from Prime. Because if you don't, I swear, man, you're gonna regret it. He cashes like no one's business. Whatever the package costs, it ain't crap when he's cashing plus 1,100. It's like nobody's business, and I'm talking like 2 to 3 a month. It's retarded, and I didn't mean to any disrespect with that word. Sorry. So just thank you guys for listening, and keep rolling with us.
Well, we will be back for sure next week. We're working on some specials going on also later in this week and possibly next week. We're a little hush on those until they were 100% confirmed, but at bare minimum, we will see you guys back here next week. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your platform of choice: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, the RSS feed. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube. We're really trying to build that. Our full-length shows are on there, little quips. You get to, like, most recently you get to hear about Mike's breakdown of his drop him in an alley theory, which is great, as well as our reaction to certain fights and certain bets that have happened. Enjoy those. Like, comment, and share. Please, please, please. It spreads the word. We really need that. That'd be awesome. And with that, let's roll.